Next on Local News 8 at 5 is protests over the Ferguson shooting continue across the country. The future is looking pretty uncertain for Officer Darren Wilson. We have the latest. Plus, the Christmas season is officially here. We'll show you how you can give back just by buying a Christmas tree. And things warmed up for Thanksgiving, but now some wilder weather could be on the way. We'll show you what's in store. Local News 8 at 5 starts right now.
You're watching Local News 8 at 5. Local people, local news.
Good evening. Great to have you with us tonight. We begin with Interstate 15. It's currently closed in both directions because of a dust storm causing low visibility. The road is blocked from Idaho Falls to Roberts as ISP investigates multiple crashes. Due to the low visibility, all vehicles are being left in the area until it's safe to get them. Drivers are encouraged to avoid the area. ISP does not know when I-15 will reopen. And for more on those strong winds, we check in now with forecaster Chelsea Brensel. Chelsea, how long will these winds hold up?
Well, Tyler, we do have a wind advisory over the Snake River Plain going through 7 p.m. tonight, but it looks like they might stick around until Sunday morning. But right now in Pocatello, we're seeing temperatures in the mid-40s with those southwest winds at 16 miles per hour. And around most of our region, we're seeing temperatures in the upper 30s to mid-40s. And those winds are making it feel a little bit cooler. You see 32 mile per hour winds in Idaho Falls, 24 in Blackfoot, 33 miles per hour in Stanley, and 30 in Pinedale, Wyoming. As you, our weather headlines, we have heavy snow in the mountains tonight and wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour across the Snake River Plain and the desert. And that's making difficult travel conditions. With this storm that is taking over our region, we are seeing that we do have some weather advisories. We have a wind advisory for the Snake River Plain and the desert. We have a winter weather advisory in the eastern highlands and the southeastern highlands as well, and then a winter storm warning in Jackson and western Wyoming. I will break those down for you in my full weather forecast.
All right, Chelsea, roll tide.
Roll tide.
Meanwhile, in Wyoming, winds got up to 82 miles per hour in Cody. That's hurricane force. The gusts blew out windows and knocked out power in northwest Wyoming. A 40-foot spruce tree was also blown onto a visitor center. Right now, we don't have any reports of injuries. We stay in Wyoming, where lawmakers are looking at allowing some revenue from state park fees to be allocated toward routine operations at the parks. Right now, entrance and camping fees only can go toward construction and maintenance projects. The bill would allow the Wyoming Department of State Parks and Cultural Resources to spend some of its revenue on things like mowing the grass. The department director says the proposal could provide $500,000 a year for everyday park needs statewide. Some billboards in Washington state are trying to heat up the wolf debate in Idaho. 4 billboards near the Idaho-Washington border call for a decrease in the wolf population. The group that put up the billboards says wolves kill livestock, endanger elk populations, and pose a threat to the public. They also say wolves are not native to this area and compete with other predators for resources. Ecologists say the wolves are scared of humans and crucial to the habitat. The ecologists also say the gray wolves found in Idaho are the exact species that once thrived in the Northwest. Around the nation, the Ferguson police officer who shot Michael Brown has resigned from the police force. Darren Wilson's resignation is effective immediately. Wilson has not been back to his home since his address was made public online back in August. Since then, he's been living a life in the shadows. Brian Todd tells us that's continuing even after the grand jury decision not to indict him.
Despite not being indicted by a grand jury or charged with a crime in the shooting of Michael Brown, Darren Wilson is still living a life in hiding, something his lawyers say has now gone on for months. CNN has learned it began just days after the shooting in August, when Officer Wilson was mowing his lawn. He got a call telling him his home address was circulating online. Within 3 hours, he was packed and gone.
He had to leave the grass literally half mowed, and he had to go into hiding because there are death threats out against him. There are bounties that have been placed upon his life.
Since that day in August, Wilson has moved from house to house, even staying for a short time with one of his lawyers. He says he's changed his appearance, growing a beard at one point. When he goes out, his lawyers say, he often goes to movies, which offers time cloaked in darkness. In an interview with ABC's George Stephanopoulos, Wilson talked about his precautions.
From where you sit in a restaurant to, where you drive, everything has to run through your head. It's all the time you're watching, make sure no one's following you, everything. You hear or see someone look at you, then lean over and tell someone a secret, and then that second person looks at you like, do they know who I am?
In recent days, the New York Times published Wilson's home address online, likely inadvertently, as part of his marriage license, though he's not believed to have lived at that home in months. His lawyers say immediately after the shooting, Wilson wanted to return to his job as a police officer. One of his own attorneys told him if he did, he could be executed in a blind alley.
It's not a great leap to think that if Officer Wilson were to start patrolling the streets of Ferguson again, that somebody sees what shift he's on, makes a call, and pulls him into a bad situation.
As for his future, expert Ron Hosko says Darren Wilson would be prudent to change his name, keep changing his appearance, put his property in a trust so that it can be shielded from public view. And he says Wilson will always have to be sharpening his awareness, his alertness. He'll likely be looking over his shoulder for quite some time. Brian Todd, CNN, Washington.
Now that Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel has announced he's stepping down after being pushed out, the question on everybody's mind is who will take his place. The administration is now finding out replacing him might be a little harder than they thought.
New leadership should take over at the Pentagon for the last 2 years of the president's term, and that's what's going to happen.
At least how the administration tells it officially. President Obama and outgoing Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel agreed on that. But it's led to more second-guessing of the president's management style, and even late-night comics are taking shots.
There are rumors at Washington this week that Joe Biden was not happy with the way the White House forced the resignation of Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel.
That narrative may be making the president's challenge of replacing Hagel even tougher.
I will always give you my honest and most informed counsel.
He served 2 combat tours in Vietnam.
When President Obama was hunting for a new Veterans Affairs secretary this spring after Eric Shinseki stepped down amid the VA hospital fiasco, there was no immediate shortlist because the White House wasn't sure what kind of background would be best for the job. A new attorney general to succeed Eric Holder this fall? His original choice is deemed too controversial to pass the Senate, so he settled on little-known Loretta Lynch. Now, heading into a difficult winter, the White House's early hopes to head the Defense Department, Rhode Island Senator Jack Reed and former Defense Department Undersecretary Michelle Flournoy said no thanks, even before getting the job offer. Number 1 on the next defense chief's to-do list, carrying out the president's hotly debated strategy against ISIS.
They're going to have to send more over there. They're going to have forward air controllers on the ground. They're going to have special forces people. We're going to have trainers.
But the big complaint of defense secretaries past, the Obama White House micromanages. Now topping the revised list, low-key but experienced Homeland Security Secretary Jay Johnson, who has experience dealing with ISIS on the domestic front, and the former number 2 at the Pentagon, Ash Carter.
Closer to home now, part of I-15 was closed in Utah after a semi crashed and exploded. Police say the explosion happened after the semi drove off an exit ramp and rolled down an embankment. The crash sent up a huge plume of smoke that could be seen for miles. The Highway Patrol says the driver was badly burned. He was taken to a hospital by a medical helicopter in critical condition. The interstate was closed for about 30 minutes. Investigators are still trying to figure out what caused the crash. Also in Utah, education officials want to help college students graduate faster. They plan to do that by offering schools more money in exchange for more graduations. The percentage of Utah college students who graduate within 6 years is low compared with the rest of the country. Higher education leaders will ask the state legislature to increase performance funding to $5 million. Colleges can get their hands on some of that money by helping incoming freshmen create a plan for on-time graduation and sticking to it. A Twin Falls woman is safe tonight after almost jumping off the Perrine Bridge. Witnesses say the woman was standing, holding on to the bridge's inside divider. They say it looked like she was getting ready to jump. Sheriff's deputies arrived and convinced the woman to come with them. The sheriff's spokeswoman said the woman wanted to talk to someone. The deputies took her to a hospital. Local humane societies and pet organizations say they need donations. The Humane Society of the Upper Valley and Happening Hound of Idaho Falls is extending their pet food drive. The drive was supposed to end on the 23rd, but the organizations say they haven't received enough attention. They say donation drop-off sites usually receive anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 pounds of pet food. Organizers say they rely heavily on community support.
The volunteers of the Humane Society of the Upper Valley, put a lot into the programs out of their own pockets. So this will help just them not have to use so much of their own income versus, being able to take care of those foster pets through the programs that they have.
The society often helps people who've experienced unexpected financial issues feed their pets as well. And you can drop off pet food donations to these locations. Apple Athletic Club and AmeriPet Hotel will be accepting drop-offs through next week. Teton Kennels, Cal Ranch, Animal Oasis, and Rocknax Hardware will be accepting pet food until the end of December. Well, you may be looking for a Christmas tree soon, but what if you could buy one and help out a great cause?
Yeah, we've been doing it for over 35 years now, so we keep it running. We've got the lot here at the YMCA
says they've helped hundreds of children with Christmas tree sales. All of the proceeds go towards scholarships for daycare and youth programs. The organization has a total of 548 trees to sell. Organizers say they've been able to sell more each year as they get more support from the community.
As soon as they figure out what the proceeds are going to, and that the money stays here in Idaho Falls and helping the families, it seems like they're more than happy to come here, and they enjoy being here with us. And we've got some really great, beautiful trees.
The YMCA will be selling trees until they run out. Trees start at $18 each. Coming up, we have the latest on the Ohio State football player who vanished just days before today's big game against rival Michigan. That's later.
We have some winter warnings and watches. I'll break that down for you in the full weather forecast.
You're watching Local News 8 at 5. Local people, local news.